Okay, everyone. Welcome to Strip Club. Hello. Good morning.
Oh, we're doing it now.
Today I'm going to show you our latest Strip Club pattern called Glory. I want the angels to sing after I say Glory. Fantastic. So traditionally we do a red and a blue strips bundle during the year. This is our Patriotic quilt for the year. It doesn't have to be red and blue, but today we'll focus on red and blue. We do separate the strips into bundles of red and blue. The pattern, Glory, that we have written, released, and is available at your local quilt shop, and as we are your local quilt shop, you have the pattern. It is available in 6 sizes. Yes, 6 sizes. The quilt sizes are table runner, lap, twin, queen, and king. And something new this time round is just blocks, in case you want to make just blocks. So I give you the dimensions for the fabrics that you need just to make the blocks. So that excludes any sashing, cornerstone settings, or borders. You'll also notice when you look at the pattern that it has the total number of strips that you need. That is a great number for a total scrappy quilt. If you want to separate your fabrics into 2 different colors, and it doesn't have to be red or blue, it can be other colors, then I tell you how to break down those numbers. The quilt that we have hanging on the wall is a queen. Correct, Maureen? Yes, thank you. The quilt is a queen. Maureen made the quilt, so she knows very well that it is a queen. It is 5 blocks across, 6 blocks down, 27 strips, 14 of one color, 13 of another color. Okay, color 1 and color 2. In this case, our color 1 is blue. So first thing you do is separate out your colors, color 1 and color 2. Now I'm going to show you the block. Oh, we also have background, and we have setting triangles, and the cornerstones in between the blocks are the same fabrics as the setting triangles. So there's sashing cornerstones and setting triangles as this quilt is on point. This is the block. This is block A. Block B is exactly the same, but it's colored differently.
The opposite.
No, we'll put it up the same way. Do you see? The block is very simple. It is just the way that you twist and turn the blocks that creates the design with the sashing. Let me point out. Oh, I call it A and B, and the pattern would call it 1 and 2. Here is your block. And you can see because of the red, this uses color 2 as the focus. It is block 2. Over here, we have color 1 as the focus, and when I say the focus, it's the points. The points use color 1. This is block 1. Block 1, block 2, in between is sashing and cornerstones. So it's just how it's twisted and turned that creates the design. Now let's make the block, shall we? So the first thing you'll do is cut some background fabric, and we'll sew the background, the larger background fabric, with a 2.5-inch strip, and then create and cut out of that segments like this. Okay, imagine it's the same blue. You're with me, right? Make a bunch of strip sets like that, cut out a bunch of segments like that. Now we'll do the same basic thing, only we have 2 background strips. That's a background strip, that's a color 1 strip, that's a background strip, and cut out a bunch of 2.5-inch segments. You'll do many of them in color 1, and then many of them in color 2. Create your segments. You follow? Okay. So now you'll create twice as many of these as these, and the reason is you'll use twice as many in each block to create this look. Do you follow? Mm-hmm. So this one goes in the middle, the other one goes on the left, and look, magically, there's another one behind it. It flips around to create your 9-patch block like that. Easy strip piecing. You can do it. Make some in blue. Make some in red. Well done. Now we are going to make the points. Next to the points. For the points, we have a background square that we will sew on top of a segment by drawing a diagonal line on the background square and stitching on that line. Flip, press, make sure it goes to the edge. Once you know it has gone to the edge, you can flip this piece back and cut away the excess fabric. If you do not want to draw the lines, may I once again recommend one of our favorite tools, which was right here. Don't laugh at me. Your studio looks like this too. Can you catch that? It says folded corner clipper. With this tool, you do not have to draw the lines. It actually allows you to cut away the excess fabric, leaving an edge that you'll use with as your 1/4" guide. You make that one stitch, flip it back, and you will have the perfect segment without having to either draw the lines and you cut away the excess fabric in one fell swoop. So this is by Prairie Sky Quilting, and it's called a folded corner clipper ruler. So if you don't like drawing the lines, that's a really great option. Okay, so we make a bunch like this. Pay particular attention to the orientation, because now you'll make a bunch like this. Flip over, they go that way. With those 2 points in a bunch of different colors, you create the pieces here. There's a 2.5" square piece there, and then your 9 patch, and that's your block. Notice color 1 is the points, color 2 in this case is the 9 patch, and for the color 2, color 1, block 1, block 2. Did you get all that? Okay, you get that they're different colors in each block, and the pattern will tell you how many of each to make, and then the layout will show you where to place it on the block. You can twist and turn your blocks any way you like to create the design that you like in your quilt. If you look at the pattern, you'll notice that each layout kind of has a different beginning, a different end, depending on whether it's even numbers of blocks across or odd numbers of blocks across. In our quilt, 4 blocks come together right here to create the star. Now, if you twisted and turn that, you might have your star offset in a different place. But you can twist and turn however you like. You can make them all the same direction, too.
What size is this one?
This is a queen. Okay, so now we have the blocks. Here is the top block. When you assemble this, because it's on point, you will assemble the rows diagonally, create the rows diagonally. There's a block. On top of it is a sashing segment, and on either side of it is also a sashing segment. Do you see it? Yes. I know it's white, so it blends in. Our sashing segment is the same as our background. Here is actually your next row. It's all sashing. We start with a corner triangle, a setting triangle, which is small, sashing, a cornerstone, sashing, cornerstone, sashing, and then a corner triangle. So you have earlier in the pattern cut out large triangles, setting triangles, and smaller ones. Okay, let's see if I can get this right. Let's pretend this is right. Because earlier I said you can twist and turn it any way, right? Okay. You see how it's coming together? You see how the sashing now, am I in the way? I'll get out of the way. All right, the big thing here I want to show you is how the little triangle finishes off the horizontal sashing. And the big triangle finishes off the ones that have vertical sashing and the block. Do you follow that? Do you see that? Okay. Now that you see it in the quilt, that little corner, the little triangle adds a nice little pop to it. It also finishes off the quilt. So even though it all, when you're putting it out, it looks like it's going to be a diamond quilt, with these setting triangles, you end up with a square quilt or a rectangular quilt. Okay? So we, in this sample, our border 1 is the same fabric as our background, and then border 2 actually is the fabric that inspired all the fabrics in our script set. It is just a fantastic multicolor print, so we pulled all the reds and blues to match it and created what I think is a glorious quilt. Yeah. That's okay. I try. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
With the ruler, do you still need to do that little scant edge to sew it together, or can you just use your quarter seam?
The question is, when you use the folded corner clipper, do you have to sew a scant quarter-inch seam? I will say everybody's quarter-inch seam is a little bit different. Everybody has their own personal quarter-inch seam. So I would start with the scant, flip it over, and make sure that the edges the piece goes to the edge, and you create a nice rectangular segment. And if you have to adjust from there. I would start with just a scant. And a scant really is just a single thread, not even a thread over from the line. Or start with your regular quarter-inch guide and flip it over. Yes, ma'am.
With that ruler, does it prevent you from cutting that little waist part? You know how usually if you do a square and you sew it down the middle, then you have that, if you sew an extra line, you have that extra little bonus triangle, half square triangle? Do you still have that with that, using that tool or not?
The question is, do you get that extra bonus triangle? Did you understand that?
Uh-huh.
I understood the question. You can create that extra half square triangle with the tool. You will cut away, I wish I had the teaching sample. You will cut away.
In case you understand the answer.
When you cut away the fabric, you will have two triangles that are nicely sewn, nicely held together, and you can take that to your sewing machine. So those two triangles, which is the excess, open that up, and you will have a half square triangle block. And then with the piece that is your sewing piece that will become your rectangle with a point, take that to your sewing machine and stitch down along the line. So you can get your two pieces, so you won't have waste. You can create that bonus half square triangle. Any more questions with imaginary graphics that I can answer for you? Okay, well, as I mentioned before, it doesn't have to be red and blue. Can you imagine it in other colors? I happen to have a quilt here that uses different colors. Now, before I show it to you, I will tell you that we have used specifically different colors. In this case, it's going to be green and orange, and we've used the Hoffman 1895 Ballard Puck to create this effect, which I think was very cool because it just came in. So 1895 is a collection from Hoffman that is, it's basically their boutique solids, their basic blenders. So let me show the quilt. Can I have a couple of tall volunteers though, because this is bigger than me. Thank you.
Like the back.
Hey, all right. Let me step over here. And if you could stand here, right on the star. There's actually not a star there, but there's. So this is Glory in color option number 2. Interesting, isn't it? So we have orange as one color, green as another color, and then we have a soft green background. The setting triangles are much more subtle in this quilt than they are in the quilt on the wall. They are a different fabric than the background, but as I look at it now, you can't really tell. Yeah, just in the right light, it sort of shimmers a different color. And then like the quilt that's on the wall, border 1 is the same as the background fabric. You know what's interesting? Because the yardage, because the yardage of the fabric has your setting triangles and your cornerstone is the same background fabric, and because that is such a soft difference between the background and the setting, you kind of lose the cornerstones.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a different effect. It doesn't have the same chain piece effect through it because the cornerstones are a little more subtle. And then of course you have a wonderful orange background to pull it all together. Is it pretty? You like it? Isn't it fun to see it in different fabrics?
Yes. Do you have another one?
Yeah.
She asked me if I had another one.
Black and gold?
Are you kidding? Kids. I have 2 quilts. Quilted, down, ready to ship.
Last month you had 3.
And if I did have one, would you expect one another month?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I do have some more if you can sit tight. Okay, well, no, I'm debating not showing them. Okay, I'm going to show you this next quilt on 2 conditions. One, you recognize that you're not always going to have 3 quilts. And 2, it is a little different setting. Let's see if you can figure it out.
Oh, it's not balanced.
That was her, not me.
I'm not sure I heard, I don't want to.
You don't want to know.
Your kids are feisty today. That's the back one. Beautiful. Okay, so what's the difference? It is not set on point. So our wonderful sample maker Maureen made the queen quilt that's hanging up behind us, and then turned around and made this one for prayers and squares. So this will go to a nice home. Didn't set it on point, did straight set, and used a valley pot called plum pudding. Rum raisin. Beg your pardon, rum raisin. They both sound crispy. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Maureen.
So more reasons to love the pattern and to use 2.5-inch strips. So the pattern is called Glory, available at your local quilt shop. Are you inspired to go out and make quilts?
Yep. Yes.
My job here is done. Do we have any more questions? Yes, ma'am. The block will finish 2, 4, 6, 8 inches square. Yes, ma'am.
So then with this setting, Maureen, do you do square 1 and square 2 also? Or did you just do?
It's totally scrappy.
Okay.
And that's the other big difference with this quilt. There is no color 1 and color 2. Just make it blocks and put it together.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah, you all loosen up. Great for leftovers, fantastic for leftovers. I mean, it's all scrappy, even to the point where the points are scrappy. And in our sample, the points had the same color in both of our samples. But in this sample, even the points are scrappy. So it is completely scrappy. Yeah. Do we have more questions? Yes.
I'd like to add an extra row to that, the quilt row pattern.
Yes.
Lengthwise.
I have written the pattern so that the sizes that are listed work very well for the block sizes. When you start putting something on point, it's not 8 inches anymore. It expands exponentially, especially when there's sashing and there's cornerstones. So if you want to make it larger, you can. You might need to reduce your borders because it doesn't grow just 8 inches. It grows 11, 15 inches because you have another block and another cornerstone. So, and a 15-inch increment gets to be very big. But if you're doing straight sets, it's different. Then it just grows by 8 inches plus 2 for the sashing. It's beautiful. I love it. Very nice. Well, if you'll indulge me, I wanted to inspire you with some other stuff. Can you want to see? Okay, so inspire away. So I thought, I mentioned earlier in the presentation that we often do red and blue quilts, or strip bundles. We do them every year. Would you like to see some of the older red and blue? That's fun, huh? So if you don't like the quilt that's hanging up behind me, first of all, don't tell me. I don't. But second of all, you can use the strips in some of these patterns. This is a pattern. Oh look, I found. There it is. This is a pattern called Stars from Stripes. And again, we started with red and blue strips. And again, we have a fantastic outer border that pulls it all together. Pretty? Yeah, it's really pretty. The red and blue quilts are so striking. There's a reason we do them every year, once a year. July 4th? Yeah, July 4th. And I have two more. Oh, are we still snapping pictures? Yeah. By the way, these little triangles that are the border element, these come from the leftover pieces when you create your block. Adding a little dimension and variety to it. Stars from Stripes. And this one is going to be third. It's actually not, it's just blue and white. There's no red in here. But it's fun. It looks like it's part of the same catalog spread. This is called Milky Way. You remember Milky Way?
Yep.
It's got pins in it. Thank you guys for doing this. Oh, I was thinking like stars Milky Way, not chocolate Milky Way. It's good, right?
Yes.
This could be red and blue. This doesn't have to be blues and whites. Oscillate. Milky Way. It's got two accent fabrics in here too. One's black, one's gray. So the blues are the strips. The white, which is a fairy frost in the quilt, you may not be able to see it. It's got a little shimmer to it. It's got a little sparkle in it. It shines like a diamond. Thank you for laughing. All right, now my probably my all-time favorite, other than today's, because the new one is always my favorite. The next red and blue one. Make sure it is what I think it is. When you do trunk shows, you get to know the quilts from the back. This is called Spangled. So this is, all of these are strip club patterns available by us, Cozy Quilt Designs. Ask for them by name. Demand them from your local quilt shop. No right or wrong. No up or down on this. Why don't you take a step to the right, both of you. You like it?
Yes.
You inspired to do red and blue quilts now? Yes. Okay, do we have any other questions? Did you enjoy the extra quilts at the end of the presentation?
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming, and join us next week for another presentation that uses 2.5. Oh.
We're going to have 3 by next week.
The months fly by so fast. Join us next month for another pattern that uses 2.5-inch strips. Thank you.